Hey guys, Jim back here with you with another video. Thanks for stopping by. If you're new to the channel, my name's Jim, and I like to talk about pocket knives. I like to talk about hunting, fishing, anything with the outdoors, hiking. We live close to the Great Smoky Mountains, so we like to go to the mountains a lot, camp and do things like that. So I'm a little bit of a junker. I like to go to flea markets, antique malls, yard sales, things like that, to get not only pocket knives, but any kind of like old collectible that has something to do with hunting, fishing, knives, sporting goods, anything like that. So if you like junking, you like pocket knives, you like to talk about hunting and fishing, and we also talk about the Lord. We do some praying on here as well. Then you found the right channel. Thank you for stopping by. So this tag that we've got out there, hashtag my favorite 5. First of all, I've never done an open tag. I'm not good at doing open tags. I tried to do, there's so many, Thankful Thursday, Two for Tuesday, Folding Hunter Friday. I'll be honest with you, it's hard for me to keep up with all the open tags, and they're great tags and I enjoy them when I get to watch them. But I came up with this tag on Sunday because the question had come up. I don't know if it was my daughter asking me in front of my wife to sort of bust me out a little bit on how many pocket knives I've got. I said, "Dad, how many pocket knives do you have?" And I sort of looked at her and looked at my wife and looked at her, and I was like, more than one and less than 500, I think. So anyway, I got to thinking about that, and I was like, we have so many knives as collectors. I guess I can face it now. I am a collector. So because I've got, so my taste in knives varies so much that I got to thinking, if I had to start over again and just sell my whole collection and get rid of it, but could only keep 5 knives, what would those 5 knives be? And first of all, I've watched so many videos on this from different people in the community, and I've watched shorts, I've watched videos. I'm trying to go back and reshare those so I can thank everybody from doing them. I've not got to watch all the videos yet. I have thoroughly enjoyed these videos, and different people have gone different directions. Some people have shown 5 knives, some people have shown their 5 plus 5 that they also keep. Guys, it's a tag. I've enjoyed it. I mean, I'm just happy. It brightens my day to go back and watch these videos. And the thing that I've taken away from it, as pretty much I always have, are the stories behind the knives. I mean, could we call them still stories? I definitely didn't come up with that. Somebody surely has come up with that before. But the stories behind the knives, the still stories, quote unquote, that there's a story with so many of these knives that we've seen. That's what I've so much enjoyed. I've enjoyed the thought processes that's gone behind the selection of the knives. I've gone behind, that's what an open tag's for, right? You put your own twist on it and you take it and run with it. And I have thoroughly enjoyed every single video and short I've got to watch. And so enjoyed these stories. This was my grandfather's knife. This was my dad's knife. This was my uncle's knife. This was a knife that was gifted to me. This is a knife that, has special meaning to me because it was from a coworker or a family member. Whatever the situation, I've seen a lot that have been knives that have been gifted to other people in the community, and they hold those knives as they can't get, and I think that's great. I've thoroughly enjoyed the tag. So, and the videos. My twist on this is going to be, I went the more sentimental route, as many of you all did. And the reasoning is, in my mind, it took me a while to get 5, and I posted 5 on YouTube, but I've changed my 5. I've changed 1 knife out of the 5. So I've gone the sentimental route. And my reasoning behind that is, a lot of the knives that we have in our collections now, there's definitely a price involved, right? But you could theoretically replace these knives if you really had to, if you really wanted to. But the sentimental knives, I don't know that they can ever be replaced. A knife that your grandfather had, or your father had, or a close friend had, that a family member gifted to you. That, you know, you may have a case red bone, you know, X's unders, and yeah, you could find another case red bone X's under, but you couldn't find one that was your grandfather's, or that he carried and worked with, or your dad's, or an uncle's that they carried, that their DNA, quote unquote, is there. The Teeners are their teen, you know. So anyway, I'm reel my own self in a little bit, but that's been my thought to it. So I went more of the sentimental reasoning, because these knives, each one of them are special to me, because I couldn't ever really get those back theoretically. A knife that someone bought for me and took the time to wrap it as a Christmas present for me and give it to me, uh, because it's just, I don't know, I got sentimental about it. So, and I have some stories behind the ones I'm going to show you guys, but just want to say thank you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for participating in the tag. Hopefully they'll be get to see some more. I've enjoyed the stories. I can't wait. I think Baxter posted a video tonight. I'm going to try to get to watch it maybe tomorrow. And there's several more I've yet to watch. But anyway, guys, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for supporting the tag. And let's flip the camera around and get on the table back here. And let's look at my favorite 5 pocket knives. Thanks, guys. All right, guys, welcome back. Got the camera flipped around here. So here we go. I'm going to try not to keep this video too long, but we'll try to get the stories across here. So we'll just go ahead and start with this knife. This is, and they're in no particular order, but this knife is a special knife. It's a Buck 113 Skinner that is probably one of the newer knives but it made this top 5, and the reason is the etching. And plus it was a gift from my son and my daughter-in-law. My son got married last September, and he and his wife, they had dated for several years, so they got married last September. And you know, we go to the Knife Works. I don't live that far away from the Knife Works, from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. So we were in there shopping and saw them, and I knew what they were doing. They were picking Dad out a Christmas gift, and I had no idea. My son knows what I like, but he watches some of the videos on the channel. He doesn't get to watch them all, but he picked up, they decided to pick up this Buck 113 Skinner. You know, the wood, the brass, or the, you know, it's not the overly fancy handle. I looked at this the other day, and the wood on this is just, it's got like a little bit of a bluish green tint to it. I know they did some different color woods. It's not like the standard wood they put on the 112s, but it's a beautiful knife. He decided on the Skinner because he said, Dad, I really want to get something I can put your logo on. This is sort of like the old logo that is on my old decals, my first decals like that. I call them my truck window decals. So he said, we wanted to find you a knife that was wide enough to get your logo on, and they did a great job. I love this. I've carried it. I got it in December, so I was able to carry it a little bit in the woods last year. I have EDC'd this knife as well. It's a great knife. It's razor sharp. Y'all know this knife. Y'all know the Buck 113. I'm not going to go through the ins and outs. I think Brother Dwayne has done a video on this. HT, I think, is in the market for one. HT, if you get one, if you get an opportunity to get one. So this is definitely one that I would never sell, never get rid of, because my son and my daughter-in-law purchased this knife for me, took the time to find the right knife, and have the laser etching done for the logo there at Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and that will never leave the collection under no circumstances. Buck 113 fixed blade. That's definitely in the top 5. This Swiss Army knife, this was on the very first video I'd ever done. Y pocket knife. I think that's what I called it. I think that was like towards the end of November last year when I started doing content on YouTube. So, um, just I can't remember. I think I don't know if it's a Tinker. I can't remember what the model is, but I got this knife when I was probably like 16 or 17 years old. And I had a mentor of mine, a friend of mine, that really helped me through some hard times I had been going through as a young man. And just one of those types of guys that stepped in and kept me busy and doing some stuff. And we hiked and did things together with he and his wife, and just really stepped in at the right time and helped me. And it honestly kept me out of a lot of trouble that I would have got into otherwise. So a really good friend of mine gave me this, and back then we could carry knives to school. You know, I actually had a teacher that would borrow my pocket knife and let me, if they needed something cut or whatever in the classroom. It's, you know, got the can opener, bottle lifter with the little flat head. It's just your round of the mill, the file Swiss Army knife. And he had one of the a Swiss Army knife that, and I thought that was so cool, and had the little screwdriver on the. I just thought that was the coolest thing, being a 17, 18-year-old kid. And he had gifted this to me. I can't remember if it was for a birthday, but he just handed me a box one day when we were hiking or going somewhere to do something. And like I said, he was a really special person to me, and handed me this. And this would, other than, I had a couple other knives, and nothing as nice as when I got this as a 17 or 18-year-old young man. To be gifted this, it was just like, wow, it's the coolest thing. And I've had this knife for years. I don't carry it a ton anymore. I keep it cleaned up, sharpened, and with my other Swiss Army knives. But another reason this will never leave the collection is it's separated there. And when I still lived at home, I made the mistake of leaving this in my pants. And my mom had done some laundry. I had thrown some laundry in the hamper, and she had washed it and dried it, and I'd found it, and it had separated. And I came so close to replacing the scales on this knife, and I did not. And I'm so happy I didn't, because I put in the video, I lost Mom in 2019, way too early and suddenly. And I still think about the memory of this knife, not only receiving it, but having it, tying it back to what I thought was just something so bad, which I look on that now and it brings me memories of being at home and Mom still being around. So anyway, this Swiss Army knife, every other Swiss Army knife that I've got can go, but this one will definitely never leave the collection, no doubt. So this knife, I haven't toted this very much at all, but this was a gift. My dad and my parents divorced. My dad lived in Kentucky for a long time, and we would go up and see them in Kentucky. He lived up around the Louisville area. And I told him every year not to get me anything for Christmas. Just get the kids something, take care of the grandkids. And they always insisted on getting me and my brother and my two stepbrothers a gift. So I said, get me a pocket knife. And they said, well, what do you want? I said, just get me a case and surprise me. So that went on for several years. And one year I received this, and I'm a deer hunter. And this has got to be one of the prettiest white bone knives that I've ever seen, with the deer running right there. Plus it's a trapper, which I really like the trapper pattern. The does with the bucks. I got this knife, and I knew that it would be hard for me to carry it. It just was like a little piece of art when Case did this one. And I'd received other knives for Christmas gifts. Some of them I carry, a few of them I keep put up. He got me a hammerhead, which I still carry that hammerhead. I actually field dressed a deer or two with it. But this one, ever could. And you know, out of all the knives that my dad had gifted me, this would probably be one that I just couldn't ever let it go. I've loved it ever since the day that I got it, unwrapped it at Christmas, and have held on to it all this time. And I get it out, wipe it down, make sure it's oiled, and just admire the etching on that bone. It's just a beautiful knife, and I've not seen too many more like it. I've seen a few, but anyway, that was a gift from my dad and my stepmom, and yeah, this one will never go. I don't really want to part with any other knives that they given me, but if it come right down to it, I mean, and I had to choose one, like I said, I'm trying to do a 5, so this one would definitely not leave the collection. So this knife means a lot to me. I'd actually semi forgotten about this knife until I had done this video, but after I got married and was working, I had a retired first sergeant from the Army that just basically took me under his wing. He has a son that's just a little older than me, so I was like one of his boys, around 20 years old or so, and 2021. And he's the one I always enjoyed, hiking and going outside and fishing and all that. But he's the one that really got me into deer hunting. And even with him being several years older than me, like I said, old enough to be my dad, I thought so highly of him. I learned a lot of life lessons from him, especially with him having been a retired first sergeant from the Army. Taught me a lot of lessons, taught me a lot of life lessons. But he had a Ducks Unlimited trapper. I can't remember if it had bone or on it, but it definitely was a Ducks Unlimited. And I know it was a trapper. So it had the big clip point, and it had a huge spade blade. And he used that spade blade every day at lunch to cut a sandwich or cut bologna off a roll for a sandwich. And I oohed and awed over that knife. I mean, let me check that knife out. Man, I said, that's so cool with that Ducks Unlimited logo. And I love that trapper, and I love the Ducks. I just thought it was so cool, especially with that Ducks Unlimited logo on there. And it was just different. So I think he gave me this right before my wedding day. I think it's when it was. Maybe at the rehearsal. I can't remember. He gave me this. This is a knife. Of course, it's not a trapper, but this is a knife that he had in his collection. And he's no longer with us. He passed away about 3 or 4 years ago. But he gave me this, and to me, it's irreplaceable. This was his. I'm sure he had toted this. Looks like a 91 Ducks Unlimited little pen knife. I guess that would be the pattern. And it brings back memories of my buddy, my friend, my mentor that's no longer with me, and all the hunting trips that we took together, the times that we laughed together, hung out together, and yeah, it's just, to me, it's just irreplaceable. Yeah, so yeah, that's the story behind this one, and this is one I would never ever sell for no amount of money. So this one is a Boker 3-bladed electrician's knife. Okay, you can see there, Tree brand. I've had this knife forever. And my mother was a CNA at a local hospital in Knoxville, and she worked there until she retired, and for like 25, 30 years almost. And she worked on a floor, and someone had left this, just left it in the room. A patient or someone had left it. And she turned it in to Lost and Found there at the hospital. And they tried to reach out to the family and never was able to get a hold of anybody. And she knew even then, years and years ago, in my teens, that I was a knife person and loved knives. And there's the Boker. It's got the hawk bill there. And they told my mom, she had checked back with them, hey, did anybody ever claim that knife and just get a hold of the family? And they did not. I don't know if they were from out of town or what, but she brought that home and gave that to me, and I was so happy to have that. I didn't really know what exactly what type of knife it was, until I got a little older, but thought it was so cool with this blade, with the screwdriver, uh, and then of course the big spear point blade and the hawk bill. It's just a cool knife, but she had brought that and had given me that, and she would still ask me from time, "You still got that knife? You carry it?" And I've never ever gotten rid of it, and I never ever will, because here again, that brings back times of being at home and of my mom, who I don't have anymore, who gave me this knife, and knowing that I was a knife guy even then. So these are my top 5, guys. These are not very valuable, they're not GEC or they're not anything like that. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're just sentimental to me. And if you've got GECs and you've put them in the challenge, I think that's great. It's an open tag, but these to me, I wouldn't trade, or I wouldn't sell for anything, just because a special gift from my son, or a special gift from a couple different mentors at different periods of my life when I really needed them. A mentor, someone to pour into me and keep me out of trouble. Special gift from my dad that I'll never get rid of, and a knife that's got a really cool story behind it that I've held on to for 25 years, probably a long time. So I do have a couple honorable mentions, and that didn't make the top 5. It was close. This was in my carry today for the $5 for 5 days. This is, I think, a 503. I think this is the Prince, if I'm not mistaken. 503. My stepdad's boss gave this to him. I can't remember what the occasion was, a birthday or Christmas or something. And he was not a big knife guy. He kept a knife with a razor blade in. He was a diesel mechanic, and he said, "This is way too nice for me. Do you want it?" And he said, "I know you like pocket knives." And I was like, "Heck yeah!" I was still living at home, and I was like, "You better believe I want that." And so he gave that to me, and it didn't quite make the top 5, but it's definitely an honorable mention. Beautiful little knife that I've held on to and kept for a long time. So that one, I've got this one. My wife and I were at Smoky Mountain Knife Works last year in October for my birthday, and I knew I wanted a Baron Son. I knew I'd seen these, and I knew that I wanted this knife, Yellow Delrin, with that clip, with that sheep's foot, or I guess that's what you would call it, carbon steel. This is the knife I wanted, and I've carried it, and I love it. And I remember we'd had dinner that night. We got to go to SMKW, and she said, "Pick one out that you want." And I picked that one up, and that's got a really good memory with it. So I've got a couple knives that, I picked them out, and I probably paid for them more or less, but my kids had said, "Dad, pick you out a pocket knife," and my wife was like, "Yeah, pick you out something from the kids," when they were younger and not working and really didn't have jobs or anything. And she probably paid, I can't remember who paid for it, it don't really matter, but this was birthday gifts from that I was able to get on my birthday. This Buck 112 with the micarta, it's a special knife to me, and the Buck Auto 112 is a special knife because I was got this from the family basically on my birthday. This, I think this is the Scallion. This is a special knife to me. Didn't make the top 5, but I got this about 2 or 3 months after I lost Mom in 19, and we were getting ready to go on a camping trip, and we were in SMKW, and I told my wife, I said, I'd like to get a new knife. I wanted the green, and I thought that the flag on these knives was so cool, and I was really having a hard time. I just missed her so bad, and we bought this. I bought this knife and took it on that camping trip with me, and I still carry it quite a bit. I use it around the house, carry it to work sometimes. But I know I remember this knife because I remember the time where I was at in my life, sort of still grieving, and this this is one that I probably would never get rid of either, just because of the memories that it brings back of that it was a bad period of my life, but it was a period that through grace and prayer that I was able to make it through. So yeah, that's an honorable mention as well. I've got a couple others that way. I'll show this one last one and then we'll end the video. This one I got at Ellaville last year. It's an X's Under folding hunter, and that Ellaville show, for those of you guys that got to go last year, was pretty special. I was not doing content, but I was watching so many people. I got to meet so many people that I was watching on YouTube already, and bought this from Deep South. It needed to be cleaned up, had some rust on it. I got a really good deal on it, but I cleaned it, shined it, cleaned the wells, polished it, and it's just a beautiful knife. That trip, my son got to go with me. He and I, we rode down, spent the night, and he went to the show with me, and we just had such a good time looking at knives and meeting people. And he bought a couple knives as well, and this is one of the ones that I bought, and it just brings back good memories of he and I traveling to Ellaville and talking and about just everything, and plus going to a show and looking at knives. That brings back a lot of good memories. So not a top 5 knife, but still a knife that I've got a lot of memories with. So we're just over 20 minutes. I'm not going to run the video any longer, but guys, listen, I really appreciate it. This is my 5, and I went the sentimental route most definitely on these. So to anybody else, these will be just just your everyday knives. Yeah, they're definitely nice, don't get me wrong, but you wouldn't say these would be the most valuable knives in the world, but to me they are, because of the memories that I bring back and that I recollect when I get these knives out and look at them. And to me, that's what it's all about, guys. The steel stories, the knives, the stories behind the blade. So guys, listen, I appreciate you stopping by. This is my 5, my favorite 5. And just remember, whatever you're carrying today, whether it be a fixed blade or a slip joint, watch, Zippo, a nice custom leather wallet, you don't have to carry it alone. We always have someone that we can lean on when the times get tough. Lord will put a good mentor or someone like that in our way to help us out. But he never leaves us. He never forsakes us. Guys, thanks for coming by. Thanks for supporting the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.